Welcome back. This time I want to take a slightly different approach to bring this topic closer to you, because what we're going to create is a UI which looks confusing at first. So we're going to build what you can see right here. And what you see right here is rather complex, so I have to explain it slowly. Okay, so I'm gonna go over this UI, and once we're done with this, then we can look into the XML code and copy it into our project, right? So I will not build it up with you step by step, but I want to explain everything. Then we will look at the code, and then we can just use the code. Okay, so if you want to build something like that, that's not something that you would do in 10 minutes. Okay, this is there's a lot of thought process behind it. Okay, so let's just start with it. So what we have here is the screen that should appear once we get to this screen here. So once we open up a board, once we go to a board, we want to have what you can see here on the screen. But this shouldn't take the whole width of the screen, because we want this to be scrollable, right, in both directions, because in the end we can have multiple lists here. All right, so we have multiple tasks with multiple cards underneath them. Okay, so we have this add list, which is a button, which you already can see, right? So when we're done with this version, with this video, we will have this button, but the button doesn't do anything, so we still need to implement it, and it's still going to take several more videos to do that, because this now is going to be the super advanced stuff, which really makes a pretty cool app in this case, I think, because we are using features which look pretty good, and they have a certain oomph to them. I don't know, it's like it's just so cool. I really like this. So let's look at this. We have this add list button. Underneath that, we have what you can see here, added task list name. So how I did it is one task can have multiple individual cards. Okay, so you have multiple different steps to finish for one task. Okay, so that's basically how the concept behind that is. So we want to have multiple cards, right? But before we can have cards, we still need to create a list. So we have this button. When we click that, we see this ET task list name. So this edit text, which allows us to create a new task list. And we have on the left hand side, we have a little button which cancels the whole process. And on the right hand side, we have a little button which starts or finishes the creation of that list. So this will then create a list item in our database as well. And of course, we will, whatever name we have entered there, that will be the name for that list or that task list. Okay, and then once we have that, it will display like this. It will display the title, and then on the right hand side, we will see two buttons. So one for editing and one for deleting. Now, once we want to delete it, it will just be gone, right? But if we want to edit it, we press this button here, this edit button, and then this edit text opens up. Okay, so this edit text where we can then change the name, we can delete the whole thing or cancel the whole process, and we can save the changes. And underneath all of that, that's where we want to display the card list. So here we will have a bunch of different cards. And currently it just looks stupid because it's just item 0, item 1, and so forth. It's not super interesting, right? But as soon as we see how a card looks like, that's going to be a lot better. So you can see when we create a card, so when we want to create a new card, this is what's gonna appear. So we have this add card button. Once you click that, it will open up this edit text, which allows us to enter a name for that card. And we can delete the process or cancel the process by pressing the left button, or we can finish the process by pressing the go button or the finish button. And once we have added the card, it will go into this RV card list. So it will appear on this RV card list. Okay, so that is basically the UI that you have here. And of course, not all of those elements will be visible. So for example, only if there are cards, this RV card list will be visible. Only if we have a list, this add card will be visible. Only if we have a list, we will of course see the title of the list with those two buttons. Only if we want to create a new list, this added text will be visible. Only if we want to edit a new list, this added text here, or edit our list, this added text will be visible. Okay, so that is the overall UI structure that we have here. So a bunch of stuff that will not permanently be visible. Okay, so that is the UI for the screen here, where we see the individual board with all of the lists and then all of the different cards inside of the list. Okay, so now let's look at the code, because the thing is, it's the individual parts of the code are not something new. So we have used all of that. We have used card views, we have used linear layouts and everything. So if you want to look into that in more depth, just download version 27 and really look into the code and try to understand everything that is going on here. So first of all, this whole thing, so this whole item task is a card view. So this part here, this add list, is just one button of the whole card view. So there's a bunch of stuff there that is hidden currently, that is not visible or actually gone even. So if we want to make it visible, we of course need to only make it visible at the right time. So this is the card view, and inside of the card view we have everything else. So first of all, we have a little bit of elevation, which creates this little shadow around it. Then we have the linear layout, which is a vertical. So this is basically the overall linear layout in which we have all of the content. But that linear layout itself is inside of a card view. Okay, then we have a text view, which says add task list. If we look at it, it's this one here, where it says add list. So we use this add list, which is not even a button. It's actually a text view, this one here. Okay, so the text color is blue. It's the color accent that we use. The text is add list, which is of course a string that we create. So action add list. The padding is 12 density pixels, which is a new dimension that we create. Then we have some more settings here to make it look a little better. So we have a white background, which is task list action color. You can change that anytime you want. Of course, if you change the color for this. So you can of course also check out the colors here. We are going to copy them into our project afterwards, but let's finish this first. So that is our text view, right? The very top one. And then we have a card view, which then contains a lot of other information again. So we have another card view, which is the CV add task list name. So we are using this card view. We have a little elevation, a little layout margin. The visibility is set to gone, but in the tools, it's set to visible. The same goes here for our text view. So when we actually run the app, the visibility will be gone, so it will not appear. But when we test it here or look at it in the design, you can see they are there. So this thing here, this overall element here is another card view. So it contains this button at the left, and it contains the edit text, and then it contains another button. So it's this card view here, which contains a linear layout, which then has an image button. So I have a button which is an image, right? So it's just this little icon that we can see here, which is this cross, okay? So this is the image button. Then we have the edit text, and then we have the image button. So we're using the orientation horizontal so that those three elements are next to each other. So first the image button, then the edit text, and then the image button again. Okay, for the edit text, we have the input type here, which is very helpful. The keyboard will be accordingly. Then the hint that we want to display is hint list name. So it's another string that we use here, as well as the autofill hints is also hint list name. All right, so the layout weight, I use 1 for this one. And for the image button, I use the layout width wrap content. So this time we're just saying, okay, only take as much space as you need, as well as the image button here. It only takes as much space as it needs, but has a little padding. Of course, we don't want to push things too close to each other. But this edit text is gonna have the layout weight of 1, which means it will take the whole width that is possible. All right, so the whole width that is still available. So as you can see, we have this button, we have this button here, and this edit text just takes all of the rest of the width that is available. All right, so then the next part is our linear layout. So here we use the LL task item linear layout. We give it an ID so that we can make things visible and invisible. It's really important. And inside of that, we have another linear layout where the orientation is horizontal again. So we want to position things next to each other. So first of all, we have this text view. So as you can see, we're using buttons as text views, right? Or text views as buttons pretty much. In this case, it's just a text view actually. This is not the button this time, but we use it as a button up there at the top. Okay, so then we have this image button here and another image button. So now this time we are using the two image buttons right next to the text here, to the title. You could, of course, if you prefer to have this button here at the left hand side, you could just copy this image button and put it on top of the text view. So here, just before the text view. All right. So then we have the two image buttons, of course, which have individual IDs so that we can connect with them in the code. And we use certain backgrounds here, selectable item background, content descriptions, all the good stuff. Okay, and then I have a little view here, which is just a divider. So it's just a little bit of a visible divider here so that we can see, okay, this is where one thing ends and this is where the other starts. Okay, so then we have another card view, which is the same thing that we had before. So we have an image button, then an edit text and an image button. This time it's this one here. Okay, so this ET edit task list name. Afterwards, we have a recycler view. So here we're using a complete recycler view, which afterwards has then another card view. So this card view has the same rules pretty much as the other card views. So you see this here is a card view, that one is a card view, and then finally that one here at the bottom is also a card view in which we have a button, an edit text and another button. Okay, so this is the final card view with a linear layout where the elements are horizontally oriented, which means our image button is on the left hand side. Then in the center we have the edit text and this image button here is on the right hand side. Okay, and then finally we have another text view which I use as a button again. So it's going to be this add card text view. Okay, and just by changing some settings, it appears like an actual button, but it's really just a text view. So you can use pretty much anything as a button, so to speak, if you add an on-click listener to that element. But for now, our text view is the better choice for me, at least in terms of the UI. I have some more settings that I can play around with and so forth. Okay, and that is it. So that is our item task XML. I hope this was a good enough explanation. The thing is, we have to play around with view gone and view visible. And it's always good to put those kind of things into a bigger container. For example, here everything is, or this linear layout is within a card view, and we can play around with the visibility of that card view in order to either make it appear or not appear. And of course, if you want to see things in the designer, it always helps to have tools visibility visible if the actual visibility is set to gone. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add all of that to our project. So you can simply download the file, download the whole XML file and add that to your resources, so to your layout folder, because I think pasting it in here is not even going to be as useful. So let's just copy it over, download the project, copy the item task XML and paste it into your layout with Control V. Okay, now of course we will need the latest dimensions, so let's just add those as well. And of course you could have left the dimensions out and just put it directly into the XML file, but this is just a slightly cleaner way. So this is where we have all of our dimensions here: task, item title, view, text, padding, and so forth. So everything is in those dimensions that we use then in item task. Okay, now of course we still have some errors because we're using colors and strings which aren't prepared yet. So let's put those into our project as well. So here we have a bunch of new strings that we use So let me put those in here. Action add list. So the add list text, then list name, cart, add cart, cart name, add list. Okay, so here we have the action add list, and then we have the another text for add list. So you could of course use the same one, but if it's different positions, then you might want to think about different names for them, because maybe you want to give them more specific texts. All right, and then finally we have the colors that we need to add, and it's just 2 colors that I'm using here. So let me add those here as well. So it's this task list action color, which is this white-ish color, and then we have the task list title view background color, which is also a whitish color but slightly lighter. Okay, I think it's enough for this video. We still of course need to add some code. Now we need to add adapters because we have a new recycler view, so we need a new adapter to add and a bunch of other code. So I think let's make a break here and just go ahead to the next video where we're gonna add those little adapters and so forth. So see you in the next one.